If I could have you grab your seats, that would be great. Our time is tight, and so I am going to get the meeting underway. So good afternoon. My name is Darcy Hilgartner. I am the chair of Alberta Pulse. I represent Zone 5. I farm bicamerals along with my wife, my brother, my parents, and our families. At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome you here today and let you know that this meeting is being simulcast live on the APG website, and that is a follow-up to a component from one of last year's resolutions. By doing this, we hope that more growers will be able to join in and learn as to what our organization has been doing in the last year for the industry. Now, please join me in taking a moment to acknowledge some of the guests that we have joining us. We're pleased to welcome representatives from the Saskatchewan Pulse Growers, the Ontario Bean Growers, Pulse Canada, Grain Growers of Canada, as well as representatives from the other Alberta crop commodity groups and Marketing Council. Thank you for our other stakeholders' attendance. As well, I would like to thank all the producers who've made the time to engage and join us in our AGM. Now, a reminder what the Alberta Pulse Growers' vision is, as well as mission. It comes down to sell more pulses. And overall, for the pulse industry and for APG this past year, 2016 and 17, it's been a huge year. I'd like to take a moment to introduce your APG representatives who've been active on the board this past year. The directors, if you could please stand when your name is announced. So from Zone 1, we have Rodney Volk and Greg Stamp. From Zone 2, we have Doug Sell and Allison Amater. From Zone 3, we have Ryan Kubnik and Chris Allen. Zone 4, Caroline Sekulak, as well as our vice chair, and Fraser Robertson. Zone 5 is Don Shepard and myself. As well, we have two directors of a large, one for the dry bean, Tim Vanderhoek, and for non-bean, we got John Kowalczyk. Also in attendance are two incoming directors, Jerome Isaac, who will be representing Zone 4, and Dan Visser, who will be representing Zone 3. I'd also like to take a quick moment to acknowledge the advisors that we have. So in each zone we have advisors that help to formulate our discussions, be part of some of our committees, and are a valuable member of our organization. So for Zone 1, the advisors are Robert Weisgerber, Thomas Levert, Brad Proud, Corey Nelson, Will Mueller, and Lucas Bennett. From Zone 2, we have Barry Grabo, Jerry Good, Peter Hoff, Callista Archer, Kevin Steves, Curtis Hoffman, Sarah Hoffman, and Noel Fulton. From Zone 3, we have Rick Mueller, Shane Stridhorse, Nick Jonk, and Zach Othras. From Zone 4, we have Monica Robertson, Ernie Peters, Kevin Finster, and Peter Constample. And then from Zone 5, we have Robert Semenuk, Harold Hogan, Gordon Tuck, Michael Burry, Andrew Kittle, and Zoltan Yeremy. I'd like to also share with you the highly capable and professional staff in our organization. So we have Jolene Watson, who is our levy coordinator. She's at the back. London Lafayette, who is our business manager. Rachel Peterson, our communications coordinator. Deborah McLennan, who is our food and nutrition coordinator. Nevin Rosawson, who is our policy and program specialist. Jen Walker, who is our research manager. And of course, Leanne Fishbrook, who is our executive director. Also new to our APG, I'm excited to announce we've added more staff to handle some of the programs that we have developed or announced to better serve our producers. We have Jagrup Kalan as a research officer and Carmen Mine as office administrator. Now, the staff will be around all of Farm Tech at the booth and the show floor, so please take the opportunity to chat with them. Without their hard work, it makes it very difficult for APG to do the things we desire to do as a board. So thank you. So everyone has a copy of the agenda in their package, and you'll see a shorter version up there on the screen. So as a reminder during the meeting, if you wish to speak, please proceed to one of the 2 microphones that we have set up, as well as state your name clearly so we can capture it for the minutes. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Would someone please move to accept the agenda? Alison Aminer, seconded by Rodney Volk. So in your package, you'll have a card. So is there all in favor? Opposed? Seen? Carried. As well in your package, we'll have the copy of the minutes from the 2017 Annual General Meeting. I'll give you a minute to quickly review those. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 1st, 2017 meeting? Greg Stamp, seconder. John Kowalczyk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So each fall, APG invites nominations for individuals and organizations that have strengthened our growing industry with their progressive thinking and tireless efforts. The Pulse Industry Innovator Award has been presented to a deserving nominee since inception 3 years ago, and this year, APG is pleased to recognize another individual who has contributed greatly to allow for innovation in our industry. At this time, I would ask that Rodney Volk from APG Zone 1 come to the microphone.
It is a great privilege for me to introduce this year's recipient of the Alberta Pulse Industry Innovator Award. Dr. Hans-Henny Mundell was instrumental in establishing the bean breeding program that developed dry bean cultivars specific to southern Alberta growing conditions. The success of dry bean production in southern Alberta today can be largely credited to his program's development of local varieties with improved standability and disease resistance. Many of today's Pinto and Great Northern varieties still have a direct connection to the lines that Henny developed. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Henny Mundell, APG's 2018 Pulse Industry Innovator Award recipient.
I get to say a few words. After receiving a voicemail from Rachel Peterson on January 3rd, I emailed her back, "Wow, what an honor, Rachel." I really found it hard to believe. Here we are today, January 31, 2018, which is exactly to the day 10 years and 10 months since I retired as senior research scientist at the Lethbridge Research Center. With a big party that evening, and perhaps there are even some of you here that might have attended that. We had over 100 people there. Allow me to humbly and happily accept this very special award, but not just for myself, but on behalf of the whole team, indeed teams of people involved in dry bean breeding in Alberta. This includes Our initial plant breeder at the Lethbridge Research Station, Dr. Gavin Kemp, no longer with us, who started the bean breeding program there, and then when he retired, I took it over just long enough to really get field testing going and help set up the first cooperative bean variety trials across the prairies with cooperators in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Then I was followed by Dr. Gilles Sendong. And are you here, Gilles? I heard you might be. I'm here. Hi, Gilles. Who then took over the bean breeding for 8 years and was able to advance and develop and advance good lines for various market classes into pre-registration trials. And then when his management responsibilities became too great, I stepped fully into the breach for the next 11 years as a full-time breeder, next 12 seasons indeed, until I retired in 2007. So thank you, Gilles. Then to my wife, Bev, who's always been supportive, and arranging for fun presentations with my technical crew, hiring comedians, bringing balloons and cakes to the cafeteria at the Lethbridge Research Station for whenever a new variety was accepted. Just two of the names I'll give you as an example. It's just for fun. One of them, Red Bond, the small red. It's still grown. That picture shows Casey Kuhlman and me in the field of AC Red Bond at his place. Well, we had our line numbers by code according to market class in the year we entered the variety trials, and then we had a 3-digit number. Well, it was a red, and the 3-digit number was 007. Then the other one, just before I retired, actually just a few weeks before, Island was registered as a Great Northern in honor of the sort of center of bean production in southern Alberta, Bow Island. But I took that and made reservations after that registration came through for a Vancouver to Alaska cruise, which my wife and I took in September that year on the Princess Island. Then to my bean breeding technical staff and cooperators in the prairie provinces, the plant pathologists and their staff at Lethbridge and Morden that we worked with, and our quality chemists at the Lethbridge station. Then, the pulse growers. Via APGC, I have attended many Zone 1 meetings and AGMs over the years at Lethbridge to hear your concerns and then to see how we could respond in our variety development. Yes, and also to request funds. And to the pulse industry, mainly represented from the Alberta Wheat Pool through Agricor United and Viterra, and mostly with the same people, from Blair Roth and his team, Leif Anderson, etc. I attended their grower meetings, made presentations there. I hosted them at our field trials and annually had them over to check our advanced lines, whether they would make a market grade and request funds. Sometimes we were daring to release, for example, a shiny black, AC Black Diamond in 2000 with a very limited market. Yet that market grew, and AC Black Diamond is still in production. No use releasing, though, an agronomically sound variety for which there is no market. But thank you all for this honor.
We'll go off to the side here.
Yeah. Thank you.
You better get in here too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, were you in the picture? Yeah, I was just off the side. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay.
Hey.
congratulations, Henning, well deserved. I'd like to move to the next agenda item, and that would be my annual report, which you'll find in the book on page 6. The full report is there, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, highlights that I found from this past year. So APG's policy work has increased considerably over the last year, focusing on areas that we felt as a board were vital to producers that we represent. The re-evaluation process and decisions being made by the Pest Management Regulatory Agency, or PMRA, is one of those areas. The board felt that the initial response of the PMRA on important chemistry like neonicotinoids, beginning with imidacloprid, did not necessarily represent the way farmers in Western Canada were using them. And we felt it was valuable for us to put some effort, some energy into looking at developing or providing some better data that more reflected their use in Western Canada to the agency. And with the help of some external third-party laboratories and the direction of the board, we were able to give data that we feel will help PMRA to make a better decision. And we know that our work is not finished there, as PMRA is now reevaluating neonicotinoids like thiamethoxam, which are very important to us in the pulse industry, as it is our one and only insecticide for pea leaf weevil. We are also helping in water monitoring with the Alberta government to look at more data to help PMRA make better decisions for us producers in Western Canada. Another area that I felt we did a great collaborative effort, and you've heard this at the AGMs of other commissions, was the Team Alberta approach. The ability to capitalize on the synergy and the talents of our staff to come up with a more efficient and quick response to areas of concerns that affected all Alberta producers, I think was a great achievement in this past year. And it was something that, like I said, is a kudo to the commissions and their staff, and I quite was impressed of what they were able to achieve. So this year, APG would like to share a video message for our Executive Director, Leanne Fishwick. APG's Executive Director has with some comments on the past year's activities. And so therefore, for something completely different than a verbal report, I give you Leanne's video. Please play.
If I were to describe the year for Alberta pulse growers, I would describe it with 3 words: optimistic, challenging, and exciting. The reasons why I would call it optimistic: we were in the middle of International Year of Pulse, and we were celebrating throughout the course of 2016. The other reason for optimism was that once the growers planted their crop, we learned that we were at 2.4 million acres of pulses, which was a record for Alberta. Producers were generally feeling very optimistic about how the crop was progressing. However, there were some challenges over the course of the year as well. One of the key challenges that we saw was market access. India is our largest pulse importer, and we've had some challenges with sending pulses to India over the past year. We continue to have these challenges in place as we moved into the new crop year. However, through our support and engagement with Pulse Canada and the work that they're doing with the Government of Canada, we believe we're on track to find a resolution to this problem. The other challenge that we saw over the course of the year was our ability to continue to provide feedback via the various consultations. For example, the Pesticide Management Regulatory Agency is going through reevaluations of various chemistries. And Alberta pulse growers took the lead in collaborating with our colleagues across Canada to provide responses to one of the first reevaluations. There's 2 more reevaluations of important chemistries coming forward for the industry, and will continue to provide important feedback into this process. The final challenge that we saw over the course of the year was the 2016 harvest. The weather turned, the harvest was long, and it was frustrating for many growers. For pulse growers, we weren't as affected because pulses come off quite early in the season. APG worked with Team Alberta to bring forward the issues to the Ministry of Agriculture and also to AFSC to bring forward the farmers' challenges they were having and seeing across the province. The reason I think that the year was exciting was primarily the wrap-up of International Year of Pulse. We had 3 major things going on that were super exciting for us, including the Alberta Pulse Showcase, which featured new products that we were hoping to see go to grocery stores near you. The key reason why it was exciting for me beyond International Year of Pulse was the fact that we had 900 new growers add to our membership. These were farmers that tried pulses for the first time or tried them again after a long absence in their rotation. Research is an important component of what we do for growers in the province. So this past year, APG was pleased to invest in 44 different projects for our industry, and our investment was nearly $9 million. One of the other key things that we did on research was we worked with our colleagues across Canada to develop our national priorities that'll take research forward for the next 5 years. We are on track to continue to see growth in the sector, with 15% of the arable land and pulse crops still being a target goal we feel we can achieve. We saw fantastic consumer engagement over the course of this year, with our follow-up from International Year of Pulses, our outreach on social media, Facebook, and our new website, as well as our industry is working together like never before. The work that we've done with Team Alberta, our continued collaboration with our pulse grower colleagues across Canada, and the work that we're doing within the general agriculture industry has been critical for us to move forward and bring issues to the forefront. Thank you to Alberta Pulse Growers for their support of your organization. Our staff and our board are pleased to be working on your behalf.
That video there, as well as some of the other videos we've done this year, is part of our kind of continued effort to increase producer engagement, give the opportunity to see those videos in different locations on YouTube and the likes. At this time, I want to just make a quick announcement about Zone 5. Zone 5 has a scholarship that they have every year for Lakeland College, and this year's recipient was Kristen Van Aragon. So that's a $1,000 scholarship, and we just want to congratulate Kristen for her submission. At this time, I'd like to call Ryan Kubinek up to the stage. He is our Audit and Finance Chair.
Thank you, Darcy. I'm once again pleased to be the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, and on behalf of the board, bringing you the report of the 2016-17 financial statements. Please reference page 25 to 39 in the annual reports that you picked up at the back. We engaged MNP LLP as an auditors, and the audit was completed for this fiscal year ending July 31st, 2017. Auditors presented the audit findings to the board on November 7th, and I'm pleased to present a clean audit. As with past audits of APG, auditors have supplied an independent and qualified opinion based upon the following stipulation: that they are only able to audit the funds that APG receives from dealers through service fee collection. This statement is clearly outlined on page 27. I'd like to begin with the statement of financial positions for the organization. This is on page 28. So this is a comparison from July 31st, 2017 with July 31st, 2016. With balance sheets, assets must equal liabilities plus equity. Total assets have increased this past year, primarily due to strong pulse acres and, for the most part, good pricing to the end of the fiscal year in July, as well as investment performance. Liabilities are reduced from last year. APG has streamlined payments to be processed quicker, and this has reduced liabilities from last year. Finally, under equity, APG reserves shows contracted payments going out over the next 5 years, or longer in some cases. These reserves are funds in the amount of $16.5 million, committed to others but not yet being expensed, such as funding for the next round of Science Cluster, 5-year funding which will be finalized in this fiscal year, and future secure payments to our national organization, Pulse Canada, to ensure the work to continue support of their important work for the industry. Within our equity, aside from capital assets, APG is in a deficit position of $3.3 million in accumulated surplus at the end of July 2017. This means there are $3.3 million in commitments that expend beyond the current fiscal reserves at the close of the year. Overall, assets equal liabilities plus equity, and you can see in the slide, APG is still in a strong financial position even with the deficit and surplus we have. We have been diligent as an organization to secure our funding for several future commitments, demonstrating continued key research investments opportunities for our growers. Moving on to revenue and expenditures. The detail related to this is on page 29 of the annual report. The graph shows that our revenue for 16-17 in blue has increased from last year. Our main source of revenue is service fees or levy collection, which was $9.6 million from last year. 5.7 was last year. Grower interest in pulse crops and opportunities within the marketplace 2 years ago in 2016 gave signals for growers to plant more acres and supported relatively good prices, and this is directly attributed to that increase. On the expenditure side, APG's investments continue with our research investments, operations, communications, and payments and supports of our national organization, Pulse Canada, and association memberships like Grain Growers of Canada. Expenditures for the last year were up slightly at $4.36 million versus $4.07 in 15-16. An amped-up communication plan with a highlight of the launch of an updated and mobile-friendly website. An increased investment in marketing and agronomic research contributed to the expenses increase from last fiscal. In total, APG ended the year with a positive income statement of $4.6 million, which is greater than the $1.7 million from last year. Of note, within the expenditures, we are also reporting we had a refund request rate of 8.7%, slightly higher than last year. This is obviously a significant increase, and we took time to analyze this and go over the responses and comments and concerns of those people that requested back. But it does only make up 3% of the 6,000 or so growers. And so my comment there is if you had the concerns were brought forward and they help shape future board activities. So overall, quick summary of this, we had really an outstanding year. But it was combined with a new funding cycle, so it kind of worked out just fine because we are committed, heavily overcommitted by the financial space and have a deficit position. But we've got the research community working and active, and we still have room for what could possibly be deficits in this current year, although we'll see how that turns out. But we are in a strong financial position. Prepared for any questions at this time from the memberships about the statements of finance. If not, this will be the end of the financial statement presentations, and encourage you to read the statement in detail. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'd like to thank the members of the Audit and Finance Committee and staff for the work on the committee and for the work of MMP LLP on the file. Thank you.
So at this time, I would call for a motion to accept the Alberta Pulse Growers 2016-17 financial statements. Come on, mover. Chris, seconder, Fraser, Robertson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. As well, I'd like to call for a motion to appoint NMP LLP as auditors for the 2017-18 fiscal year. Can I have a mover? Doug Sell, back. Daryl Tuck, seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'd like to thank Ryan and the rest of the Audit and Finance Committee for their hard work this past year. Related to the Alberta Pulse Growers' financial health, this fall, prior to the significant market access challenges that the industry faced, APG undertook a financial review looking at the future and what our organization could realistically have for funding and expenditures. Now, this was not strictly a budget exercise, but it was future forecasting and planning exercise. An analysis of scenarios reviewing acres, prices, and expenditures was created. Increases and decreases from average prices, and a look at the maximum acreages that could be available to grow in the province comprised the discussion. The board debated the scenarios and felt that the work on this forecasting exercise could allow APG to adjust the service fee amount that the organization collects. Currently, APG is at 1% of cash ticket sales. The board supported a motion to reduce the service fee to 0.75 of the cash ticket sale effective August 1st, 2018, start of the new crop year. The organization will continue to be operational and do the work of growers investing in important activities like research, market opportunities, extension, and policy with this reduction. APG began communicating this opportunity for change with the media release just prior to our regional meetings, and also discussed it with growers at the 5 meetings that were held across the province. So the next step in this process is to bring the question to the annual general meeting. In your package, you will find a yellow piece of paper. So on that piece of paper are the question. It's either, am I in favor of the proposed APG levy reduction from 1% to 0.75%, or I am not in favor of the proposed APG levy reduction from 1% to 0.75%. So I need you to please put a check on the option you support. And then when you're ready to hand the paper in, please fold it, hold it up, and staff will come around to collect it. If you could do that now, that'd be great. Okay, I would like to thank you for your input on this important issue. If we get the votes counted before the end of the meeting, we will announce those results then, or if not, we will announce them shortly thereafter. At this point, I would like to invite Don Shepard and Rodney Volk to the podium to conduct the APG elections for the 2 directors at large. These are 1-year APG board positions.
Yeah, didn't trip again this year. That's good. This year, APG shared with the membership that we requested names to be brought forward for our director-at-large positions by January 15th, 2018. APG has two positions that we elect every year, the Director at Large for beans and the Director at Large for non-beans. We had two names put forward to the two available positions. Biographies are available in the AGM package. And this process does not preclude us from asking for nominations from the floor. So if some of you have come prepared, as defined by our regulations, APG requires that you are a member of the organization by having a paid service charge or levy, thus have sold pulses this past year. For the position of Director at Large Bean, I would like to open the floor to nominations. We still have to nominate Tim.
He's already nominated.
No, okay, yeah, right. Tim is already nominated. Any other, is there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? Can I have a motion to cease nominations? Ryan moves. The seconder. Will seconds. Will Mueller. Got it, Carmen? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Congratulations, Tim, on going forward. Thank you. Your presence on our board is well appreciated. Thank you very much, Tim. John asked me to leave one sentence out, so I will. I'm not going to ask him, okay? Unless Tim is just fired up to come up here and talk. But, okay.
For the position of Director at Large non-bean, I'd like to call for nominations. Are there any nominations? Third time, are there any nominations? Can I have a motion to cease nominations? Fraser and Doug for seconder. Discussion. All in favor? Congratulations, John.
Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you to Tim and John for your continued commitment to being on the board. It's important to have those members as large as well as our zone members. At this point, I will call up Doug Sell, who will present updates on the resolutions from the past year, as well as resolutions that were presented in 2018.
Good afternoon. Last year there were two resolutions that were presented from the floor, and I will make a report on them. The first one had to do with the video conferencing video conferencing that Darcy mentioned before. Be it resolved that APGC work seriously to develop a better method to allow more members to participate, ideally via live webinar, but also by online vote or mail-in vote. The board supported the investigation of the resolution in question. While it is currently a challenge to accurately and with confidence express live voting online, APG will continue to look at ways of addressing this resolution. For this year, as Darcy mentioned, we are doing a simulcast on our website so that growers are able to at least view our AGM that's live streaming. So for anyone that's looking at the cameras, smile, you're on candid camera. We will continue to seek ways of better bringing ways of obtaining grower engagement to our future AGMs. The second resolution last year had to do with the carbon levy, and it read as follows. Be it resolved that the Alberta Pulse Growers request the Alberta government to do an impact assessment study to quantify the effects while implementing a carbon tax that ensures Alberta's economy is not put at a competitive disadvantage. APG has worked with Team Alberta to address this resolution. APG has had opportunities to convey to government that an impact assessment study should be looked at by government through various meetings with Agriculture and Forestry, the Climate Change Office, and Environment and Parks. In a recently completed carbon survey, APG will be using data to recommend to various governments better options to deal with carbon sequestration, and this spring, APG will be working with Team Alberta to engage the Government of Alberta on this information. In addition, APG is working federally through Grain Growers of Canada to communicate about the impacts of the carbon tax. Those were the two resolutions that were presented from the floor last year, and that was how APG addressed them. This year's resolution, you have in the packets that you were all handed. And I will read the resolution as follows. Be it resolved that Alberta Pulse Growers directs funds toward these problems, and Vermilion's Lakeland College Student-Managed Farm Research Branch be the recipient of such funds, along with like-minded institutions. Now, do we have the mover and seconder here to speak to those resolutions, please?
Mr. Chairman, the Edmund Lesford is not here. He's in Phoenix. He phoned me yesterday and he asked me to act as the mover on his behalf. So if there's any questions, the seconder is also here, so he will come and talk.
All right, that was Gordon Tuck and Harold Haugen. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to that resolution?
Hi there. Maybe not so much in opposition, but just I'm Laurel Parrott from Lakeland College. I'm the crop researcher there. We'd like to thank Alberta Pulse Growers for supporting the student scholarship and the RBT trials more recently. We also appreciate the support from Ed and this resolution. However, the resolution doesn't contain enough detail, we feel, to move forward at this time, and we'd like to respectfully ask that is tabled to allow for discussion with the college to take place.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this resolution?
Yeah, yes, not so much in opposition, but just questioning. I take it the idea is to do soils work, soils analysis, those kinds of things. And I'm wondering, are you going to be doing this kind of, is the intention to do this work with Lacombe, for example, where there's labs and greenhouses, etc., where analyses can be done properly and etc. I'm not sure if Dr. Turkington is here, but I see this resolution as being okay if it's done in conjunction with Lacombe, who, like I say, has the millions of dollars worth of infrastructure, who has the expertise and so on and so forth there, as opposed to duplicating at a huge cost that kind of work in Vermilion. Not taking anything away from Lakeland College and the student farm. I think it's a good program there, but I think we have to be cognizant of the fact of where we are spending our dollars, not to be using a whole bunch of dollars at Vermilion, at the college, that we can already utilize at Lacombe.
I think what I hear you say is that you are presenting a friendly amendment
No, I would certainly support Laurel's suggestion that this resolution be tabled, and I would suggest as well that it requires a whole lot of forethought and examination.
Doug, it's Peter Hoff here.
So then are you making a motion to have this resolution tabled?
Yes, I could, yes. Or do you accept Laurel's resolution or motion?
Carmen?
I think that, that Laurel already has a motion on the table that needs to be seconded. Point of order.
Yes.
Okay, then
Could you repeat it again?
she needs
Could
to
you
have a
repeat your
motion.
question,
then.
Peter?
Well, I just thought a point of order. She's asked for a motion to table it, so I guess because she's not a member, someone else has to bring that motion forward, and I believe this gentleman is doing that.
Yeah, I could, sure.
So he made the motion, right? To
Yes.
table?
Yes.
Yeah,
And Peter Hoff is seconding that
I'll second it.
motion to table.
Okay. Then there will be no need to make a vote on this resolution, as a tabled motion is simply tabled.
Do you not need,
I believe that is correct.
I believe a tabled motion has to be passed?
Vote.
Okay,
first.
pardon me. A tabled resolution does have to get voted on. So would everyone with their voting cards indicate that they are in favor of tabling this motion, this resolution? Can you indicate by your cards, please?
Oh, she got them.
All in favor and all opposed. Can you hold them up again? That resolution is carried. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Doug. At this time, I'd like to call upon Caroline Sekuluk to make some, sorry, my apologies. At this point, actually, I would like to open up the floor to new business. Is there anyone that would have a question they'd like to bring up? Mike 2, I see there's a question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's actually not really new business, but just to follow up to last year's resolution that asked for live streaming of this event. And I've had texts from 3 of my neighbors or farmers in my neighborhood that are members of the pulse growers that are sitting at home watching the live streaming, and they say that it's coming through very clear, and it's you're doing a good job of the streaming. And
Excellent.
there was even a comment that some of them said that they could see that Rodney's tie wasn't very straight, and that Corey Nelson wasn't smiling.
Excellent, that's good to hear. So before we call up Caroline to make some comments and some recognition of outgoing members, I just want to announce the results of the vote on the levy. So those not in favor of reducing the APG levy, do I announce the numbers or just the result? Just the result. All right, so based on the results of the vote that was just taken, the majority are in favor of reducing the APG levy. So we will be forwarding that to Marketing Council that we will be reducing our levy from 1% to 0.75% effective August 1st, 2018. At this point, I will call up Caroline Sekuluk, our Vice Chair, to the podium. Yeah. Thank you, Darrell Tuck. So we have a motion to move that the ballots from that vote be destroyed. Do I have a seconder? Lucas? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now I ask Caroline, come on.
As we near the close of our AGM this year, we would love to recognize the contributions of members who are leaving the provincial board. This year, we have 2 directors who have contributed significantly to the organization. At present, in our regulations, APG has an allowance for growers to be active on the provincial board for up to 2 3-year terms, and in some special arrangements, when elected to national positions, an additional 3-year term can be sanctioned. Ryan Kubanik, Zone 3 Director, has participated with the organization for a total of 6 years, and during his term he has been an active member on the Research Committee and most recently chairing the Audit and Finance Committee. In addition, Ryan has been active with Pulse Canada and this past year transitioned out of the Vice Chair role. Fraser Robertson, Zone 4 Director, is also stepping off the board. Fraser has been active with the organization for the past 3 years and has involved himself at the Marketing Committee and Audit and Finance Committee. Please help me recognize both Ryan and Fraser for their contributions to the organization. Thank you for your time and efforts with the organization. We will miss your advice and guidance at the board, and we thank you for your contributions.
Do you want to say something?
I'd just like to say that the learning curve when you become a board member is huge. That's a big understatement. And I feel very fortunate to have been able to work with the staff and the other directors. They're a great bunch of people, progressive farmers, and they have helped me in many ways. A lot of the time it's technology that I've been helped along, and Darcy can attest to that. When we went to China, he was my babysitter and my helper continually. But I would urge anybody to step forward, and even if you're an advisor for a while and you want to step into the board position, I'm sure that anyone, even if you've had a lot of experience, can't help but make a lot of friends and have a great experience. So I think we have a great team. I think Leanne has assembled a great team, and I think we have a world-class group of people that are helping us, and we need a lot of help. There's a lot of reasons why we have to be putting ourselves out there in a great way. And we have a new office now, which we will be very proud to have anybody in the world to come and meet our staff and our members. So thank you very much for letting me be a member of the board.
Yes, I'd just like to echo his statements. It's been a great 6 years, met a lot of people, and got to do a lot of things. And I would just like to comment, when I first started, I think we're at $1.5 million was the number that our budget was, our collection, and we pretty much hit 10 million this year. So we've done a lot in that time. The crop has grown lots. I've been lucky enough to be involved with Pulse Canada in particular, which exposes one to a vast knowledge of a whole nother world, and really improve your own personal skills and get to see how some top-notch people work and how the levels of government work. And those, I would encourage anybody else to step up, because those skills will serve me for the rest of my life.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, at that point, it brings our meeting to a close. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for attending. It's very important to have producer engagement, both at the zone level and also at the AGM. So at this moment, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn. Rodney Volk, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the Farm Tech, and look forward to seeing you all at the banquet tonight.